we always talk about perfection in America, right? Oh,
Yes.
it's a perfection. And people say, well, you're never perfect and everything else. I said, well, let's look at the word. The word perfection comes from the Greek word teleos. That Greek word teleos doesn't mean flawless. It means maturity. So to strive for perfection is striving for maturity. And mature people learn their lessons along the line, right? And typically, hopefully we don't have to keep going back and be retaught that lesson.
Learn the same lesson again. Exactly.
Right.
Or be gently reminded of the same lesson over and over again in a different way.
Like
Yes.
Groundhog's Day, the movie,
Like
right?
Groundhog Day.
Right. Who wants
That's
to do that?
exactly right.
But
Yes.
truly that kind of thing.
Welcome to the Leadership That Shines podcast, the weekly leadership training show that's built around 3 values that show up in everything we do: impact, influence, and growth. Whether you're leading a team, building a business, or learning to lead yourself first, you're in the right place. I'm your host, Natalie Davis. Let's get into it.
Welcome back to the Leadership That Shines podcast. I am your host, Natalie Davis, and I'm so excited to be back with all of you. And there are just some episodes that we get into the process of recording where there is continuous nonstop laughter before we even hit record. So today is one of those days, and I love it because it just speaks to the community that this podcast is creating and the guests that are saying yes to being a part of the show to share their knowledge, their insight, their expertise. No pressure. And so today is no exception. We have Martin Watts. Martin, welcome to the show. I am so excited to have you with us today.
Well, I'm feeling very welcome today, and I appreciate being here today. And let's see if we can mix some things up today, huh? Let's see if we can.
Absolutely.
Maybe we decide to debunk a few myths and have a little fun.
I would love that so much, especially if they pertain to leadership. The things that we believe to be fact for all of these years, let's just talk about it. Like, let's call out the elephant that's in the room. Well, Martin, one thing that really spoke to me about your background and your story is that you consider yourself an entrepreneurial builder. You call yourself an entrepreneurial builder. I often reference to those of us in that space as like serial entrepreneurs, but you yourself have been an entrepreneur for over 40 years. And that is not for the faint of heart or the weak in any way, shape, or form. Before we dive into where I'd like to go to get today, I'd love to just give you a few moments. Tell the listeners a little bit about your background, who you are, and who's showing up today to share with them some insight as it pertains to leadership.
Well, the person showing up today is not the same person that was here 30 years ago. Business shapes
Yes.
you, families shape you, things shape you, right?
Yes.
So we're not the same person we were before, and that's a blessing, right? That's a great place to be. But really, I have 63 years of trying to learn this life and try to understand it. And the last 40 years, I've spent building businesses, doing things, and truly, like, just so I can get some credibility here, I barely made it out of high school. C average.
Tell us a little bit about that. Let's stay there. Tell us,
Yeah.
because you come from a pretty small family.
Yeah, I have a small family. No, I came from a family of 10. I was number 9 of 10. And
Yes.
truly, my little history is that my father was shot and killed while he was on a business trip, and when I was 5 years old. And so obviously that shapes a lot of where you're going and what you do. And so, big families do tend to do that. But the idea of growing into the person you're gonna be or whatever, sometimes is intentionally and sometimes it's not. And so for 40 years, I spent building businesses, trying to understand. I bet you I figured it out in the last 5, truly. And so, but back, back when I was growing up, like we didn't have diagnoses, right? You didn't have, PTSD, or you didn't have dyslexia. Not until the last 5 or 7 years, they've actually realized that a lot of kids just can't read. They can't. And I fell into that category. And they always said I was the dumb kid. I was always in the one, I was, I was always one grade behind, like if they had the fifth grade, I was like, oh, I was in the split fourth grade, fifth grade class, really a
Mm-hmm.
fourth grader. Really, I just couldn't understand and comprehend, but I asked a lot of questions and I would get on a lot of people's nerves, especially my teachers, because I really believed in, and I'm still like this today, is I like to understand things. I don't want to
Yes.
just listen, or I'm not that, my memory's just, short as a cricket, like I don't have a lot of memory, from that, and never have, and by the way, that's a dyslexia trait. But so the idea is that,
Mm-hmm.
like you're pinned into somewhere and they lock you in. And I would tell you, I didn't probably really excel or really figure I was a builder until the age of 14 or 15. And,
Yes.
and I started to excel at artwork is what I did. I started excelling in art and really became a very, very good artist. That's where I kind of found my creativity. That's where I really found I don't know, my soul, maybe. That'd be maybe a
Mm-hmm.
better say. And I've always
Mm-hmm.
been an artist, but I really honed in. After years of, I would just say, let's put it this way, an unstable uh, ecosystem of a family, right? With the father dying, you can only imagine that, it's kind of like it becomes chaotic. And,
Right.
it was chaotic. And so, I would just say an unstable um, family atmosphere.
Yeah.
And what I did was I got kind of tired of it. I got tired of the negativity and whatever it is. And I decided at the age of 14, I was 15, I decided I found this old cherry desk, Natalie, in my basement. And I pulled it up I finally had my own room after 9 kids, right? And so I
Yes.
ended up putting it in the closet. I stuck it in the closet with a chair and a little lamp and plugged it in, closed the door, make sure nobody would see me. It was my little safety area, my little safe space.
Yes.
Like there was chaos on the outside. I created stability. And so
Yes.
that's one thing I've always noticed that I did. And what I did is I started working on painting and drawing and those kind of things. And I would say one of the number one things I worked on was that I grabbed a paint by numbers one time, and it was very
Mm-hmm.
interesting. Was really interesting because it gave me oh that 14 blue goes to 14 sky. It was very
Yes.
structured. So it's interesting that I've always looked for structure in things. So at the age of 14 or
Mm.
15, that's where that builder. So that's when I say a building entrepreneur, is that I've always built, and what I've always done is built from instability to structure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes it's out of necessity. People say it's coping. How about we say it's a little genius too, right? It's who we are. It's our innate ability to overcome. Back then
Yes.
we didn't have words like PTSD, but
No.
the reality is that I realized I probably didn't have PTSD. Well, I'm sure I've had symptoms of it, but I believe in PTG.
And what is that?
That is post-traumatic growth.
Growth.
It's how
I
you look.
love that.
It's how you innately look at life.
Yes.
And so that's kind of the history. I ended up becoming started my first business when I was 23. And
Yeah.
I just exited my last real business, 3 years ago. And so at the age about 60. So I'm
Yeah.
ready. I'm ready to mess it up again. Let's
And look,
go.
what's next? Exactly. It's you have this whole blank canvas in front of you. Now what's next? I love that. Well, Martin, I think that that's such a huge progression that you from the age of 5 until the age of 14 or 15 and realizing that you could create the space to give you the opportunity to have the stability, to have consistency, right? The desk is there in your spot. You know that it's there and ready for you when you're ready to go in. But it also gave you an opportunity to start to listen to what actually brings you joy, pleasure, fulfillment, versus just responding or reacting as the way the world would want you to. And it goes back to all of these labels that you talk about, right? Even as someone saying that, well, having the creative space is a coping mechanism, maybe, or maybe you would have arrived there anyway without life happening the way that it did.
I mean, life happens the way it's going to happen, right?
Exactly.
And when
Yes.
you got to remember when you're in somebody else's ecosystem, Natalie, right? You really have very little choice. Uh,
Yes, exactly.
so the key
Yeah.
is, I remember when I turned 18, I said, now and I didn't use the term, but I said, it's my time now.
Yeah.
It's my ecosystem, right? And now that
Good.
responsibility falls on our own shoulders, and some people crumble under it and some
Yeah.
people thrive under it. Because I
Mhm.
believe this, that people either run away from something or they run to something.
Yes.
And I think that if we spend more time running towards something versus away from something, I believe our steps get clearer and more sound because
Absolutely.
because that's direction, right? And it's really what's the passion in us and where we want to go with it. And I was thinking about what is authenticity, right? Are we shaped?
Mhm.
Is our authentic self shaped, right, from the things that we went through? Or is our authentic self shaped by innate ability? Because we look at things, and I'm
Mm.
stealing this from a friend of mine, Dave Rendell. He's a really good friend of mine, great speaker. And he says, we're either environmentally shaped or we're, DNA biologically shaped.
Yeah.
And so there's a big difference. And the thing
Yes.
that the item or the way he described it was there's a mother is taking care of her son. He goes off to college and he doesn't come back for 3 months, and he comes back after 3 months, and he says, "Mom, you've changed so much."
Mhm.
Interesting, right? So
Yes.
reality is that motherhood was environmentally shaped.
Yes.
When he came back, she was actually regressing or becoming back her biological self.
Absolutely.
So I think authenticity is maybe a mix of both. But I think that
Mhm.
if we as entrepreneurs need to be authentic of who we are, not be afraid of who we are. Like, one thing that Dave also says, and I love this. This is a really good guy, by the way. He shaped me, and this is a mentor. A shape. The way he shaped some of the way I thought. And he
Yeah.
said, "You're weird. Is somebody else is wonderful."
Oh,
And it really
yeah.
was a big impact to me, right, of what that looked like. So, authenticity is maybe a little bit a mix of both.
Yes, absolutely. I love that. I mean, it's just a gentle reminder, right? And it reaffirms just our weird is that great thing. It is the thing that we should stop trying to suppress or put away or what have you. We don't need to hide that.
Well, those
Yes.
those labels are put on us by friends, family,
Yeah.
acquaintances,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
And so what happens when all the labels fall off?
Hmm.
Now who are we?
Exactly.
Now who are we?
Exactly. Exactly. Well, Martin, you started your entrepreneurial journey at a what I would consider to be a young age. But starting out in your early 20s, like looking at building something at that point in time, talk to us a little bit about that journey, what you were building, and what you learned along the way, because
Mm.
I'm sure many lessons came forth in this first venture of being an entrepreneur.
I got a little bit of rebellion in me,
Ah.
just a little bit.
I would say I'm surprised, but I'm gonna say I'm not.
Conformity has always been an issue with me, right? From
Mm.
little kids, we're
Mhm.
told to stand in line and don't cut
Yes.
and don't do this, and that is conformity, right?
Yes.
And so artistry and designing and being a creative, if you conform, I think you lose your creativity.
Mhm.
And so I've always had that, and then I had my little rebellion, a little rebellion Marty self somewhere in there.
Yes.
Yeah, and it was
It's part of
interesting.
that DNA makeup that you talk about. Yes.
Starting a business probably was not the last thing or the first thing I was thinking about.
Mm.
I got fired from my last job is what it was. And I
Okay.
didn't get fired for being, like that rebellious self. I rebelled against the system, which means when time was down, I'd like to go home and work on my own stuff. And
Ah.
they just wanted to have me there. And I was training to be a technical illustrator is what I was being
Yeah.
trained to do. And I got fired. I got fired twice from that job. And the first time I got fired was from this new manager. I got fired twice from this new manager. He thought I was a smart aleck because on the day he was introduced, we were both wearing the exact same shirt, Natalie, and the exact same tie. I
Oh,
mean, what are the chances that it was a blue Oxford shirt and it was a dark blue tie with like little red dots? We were wearing the exact same thing. However, I looked better in it than he did. Um, um,
that might have gotten you.
but I
Definitely raised
walked
the
up to him
plaque.
as during the meet and greet. And I walked up to him, shook his head, and I said, that is a great tie. I meant that sincerely, by the way. He thought I
Yes.
was being a smart aleck, and from that day forward, he had it. He was going to get me.
Oh,
And so I
yes.
remember the day he fired me, he said, "You're fired." And I said, "Well, you're it too." It was so childish. I was like 23 years old, and it was so childish that
Yeah.
I didn't comprehend. And I said, "Okay, fine, I'm leaving."
Yeah.
I said, and I didn't take it any other way than it gave me an opportunity
Perfect.
to shine. So all I had to do was make up $425 of rent a month. I
Mhm.
lived in I lived in Milwaukee. And with that money they gave me from unemployment, I bought myself a little Mac, one of the first little
Ah,
Macs, and I started teaching myself how to technical illustrate. And I started landing clients, and pretty soon I had a really good business dealing with the ad agencies in Milwaukee, um,
oh,
creating technical illustrations. And what's interesting is that that turned it into an ad agency, but that was at the age of 23. That's what I was doing. And it
wow.
transformed, Natalie, into eventually, I'm not going to go through all the little stuff, but eventually I had an ad agency. All my clients were technical. All my clients were, very blueprint type.
Mhm.
And it's interesting. That's what was my foundation of becoming a, award-winning engineer.
Wow.
Like you,
Wow.
you can't give up on yourself, right? So,
That's it.
like when I was talking about building, that's what my book's about, though. It has these kind of stories in it. My book is called
Yes.
When Doubt Becomes Design. And
Mhm.
it really is about doubt. And we can talk a little bit about doubt, but the idea was these are stories. There's 45 stories and 15 chapters.
Yeah.
It's a prescriptive memoir, and it's stories like this because those are the journeys of the entrepreneur. They're not
Exactly.
easy. They're not smooth. You're gonna burn out. You're gonna run out. You're gonna go through all these things. But I end up having a small ad agency, which then just led into more things. And eventually I had my own product, and I designed not 2, but 3 assembly plants. And the last one was 40,000 square feet. I didn't know how to do this stuff, Natalie. I just made this
Wow.
crap up, man. I said, okay, we got to, we,
Yes.
we got to do this.
It's one of those things I've never done it before, but I'm going to find out. I can learn, right? I can make it happen.
Necessity is the mother of all invention, right?
That's it.
And
That's it.
so if you go backwards, the drawing and the creative and everything else, they
Yes.
all are steps towards success. People want to arrive, but we're always arriving.
Mm.
We don't just arrive once, we arrive many times. And that's maturity, right? There's an interesting interesting phrase. We always talk about perfection in America, right?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
it's a perfection. And people say, well, you're never perfect and everything else. I said, well, let's look at the word. The word perfection comes from the Greek word teleos. That Greek word teleos doesn't mean flawless. It means maturity. So to strive for perfection is striving for maturity. And
Mm-hmm.
mature people learn their lessons along the line, right?
Yeah.
And typically, hopefully, we don't have to keep going back and be retaught that lesson.
Learn the same lesson again. Exactly.
Right.
Or be gently reminded of the same lesson over and over again in a different way. Yes.
Like Groundhog's Day, the movie,
Like
right?
Groundhog Day.
Right. Who wants
That's
to do that?
exactly right.
But truly,
Yes.
that kind of thing. And so we're always learning from the last thing that we worked on.
Right.
And I think that like when I wrote When Doubt Becomes Design, we we as entrepreneurs or leaders, we wallow. How about a parent? We don't know how to parent. There's no book on parenting. You think there is? Go
Yeah.
find it and help me. I raised 7 children. The,
Yes.
the first child taught me how to do the second child, and the second child taught me how to do the third child. The last ones turned out really good.
Mhm.
Right? And it's like business as well. It's the same thing. But when doubt becomes design is really we do have doubt, But the book is really about, Natalie, if I can just shift this, if you don't mind, that the book is really about looking at doubt, not as this big emotion on us,
Hmm.
not applied holistically, because it's very rarely is holistically, and I'll explain that if you want me to in a minute. But the reality is that doubt is a signal. It's an indicator, and it's
Yeah.
anchored in an unstable or an uncertain situation.
Yes.
Does that make sense? So
Absolutely.
doubt doesn't, we just don't walk around, I'm full of doubt. If we
Right.
said that, it's really an incomplete statement because the emotion, I call it an intelligent emotion, by the way. It's an intellectual emotion. It's a signal that's saying there's that situation right there is causing me doubt. Doubt is that
Hmm.
signal. It says it's causing me to feel unstable, and it's asking you, it's demanding us to solve it. Look
Right.
at relationships. Relationships is a great example of that. So we get into a relationship, and I don't care what it is. It doesn't have to be a personal one. It could be a professional, but all of a
Yeah.
sudden it starts to shift, right? That relationship is shifting and it starts feeling unstable because
Mm.
sometimes we're not sure, especially it's the other person, we're not sure where it's going.
Right.
So that situation is that unstable or an uncertain situation. And
Right.
then what happens is that doubt shows up. It shows up as an emotion. We feel it. And it shows up in the form of insecurity. Natalie, that's normal. It's
Yeah.
normal behavior. Like doubt isn't like this thing, "Oh, I'm full of doubt." Like we all kind of feel that way, but usually it's something has caused us to feel doubtful.
Yes.
Imposter syndrome's a great one. What is it? It's like 81%. I think 81%, 82% of all CEOs, 71% of all CEOs suffer from imposter syndrome, that doubt. So here, doubt shows up based on that situation. But
Hmm.
here's the shift. Doubt demands that we answer that distress signal, not
Yeah.
sit in it. Because you know what happens when we sit in doubt? We start backfilling it with
Right.
like its cousin anxiety, right?
Hmm.
You know,
Yes.
kissing cousin insecurity. Oh,
Exactly.
we're
Yes.
insecure, right? How many people have
Yeah.
been accused of being insecure because they don't agree with something or they're jealous of their spouse? But that has to be taken care of, right? There's a reason that that person is. Maybe it's trauma from the background, maybe it's real, but either way, it needs to be addressed. So here's the shift. It's demanding that we answer that distressful signal, and it's
Love that.
forcing us to make a decision to fix that situation. Now, I have just debunked the idea that doubt just sits re- ready to attack
Right.
us, right? It just
Exactly.
sits back
Right.
there.
Yes.
It's gonna attack us, right?
It's
But
part of, yes, exactly. It will
right?
show up, but and Martin, I think one of the big things that you point out is if we go back and look at like the lead and lag indicators, like doubt is the lag indicator, and I think a lot of people treat doubt as the lead indicator, right? So it's I have
True.
this doubt, so this must be the wrong choice, wrong space, wrong environment. I'm going to either sit and get ready to try to figure it out, or I'm just going to backpedal because I've clearly taken the wrong turn, right? And
Mm,
let me go somewhere else because this doubt has popped up. It's actually a lag indicator that allows us to really dive into assess where is this coming from, what's going on, and is there a solution or resolve to it?
yeah, otherwise no decision, by the way, is still a decision, right? I mean,
Yes,
it
it
really
is.
is. So
Yep.
when we really look at it, it's forcing us to make a decision. So
Yes.
here's the key is that we are not broken. We have to stop
Mm.
thinking we live in this therapy culture time, right? Everything's got to have a syndrome and everything's got to be, there's got to be something connected,
There's meaning to
psychologically.
it. We're gonna ponder on it for like, yeah, I
Right.
know, exactly. And
Right?
listen, we Martin and I connected. It is important for us to think and process. We think that is very important, but also
Yes.
we don't need to label it all. Yes.
No, we're not
Yes.
broken. That
Yes.
situation is broken
Yes.
and it's asking you to fix it. I think doubt has had a bad rap. I think we treat it like a weakness. They're in doubt. They must be weak, but it's really our brain signaling for us to
Yeah.
build something bigger and better. And that's what the book is about, by the way, is that I learned that every time there was an unstable or an unstable situation,
Hmm.
I found a way to build stronger. I
Yeah.
mean, people peak out, right? We all go down,
Yes.
but I don't know what you're like. We haven't spent enough time together here, but I know when I hit rock bottom, I come shooting back up,
I'm
and
shooting back up. Yes,
the
exactly.
world,
Absolutely.
the world better back up, right?
Yes.
Because I got now a
Yes.
new perspective, and I have a more solid foundation that will keep me protected until I have to build again.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think when you mention looking at doubt as a weakness, that is 100% the bucket that I put doubt in for
Mm,
sure.
of
Before
course.
today. Before today, right? It's if especially if you see it consistently coming up in your life, right? Like if you are faced with making a decision and you are riddled with doubt and you just sit with it and the decision to not take action, making that decision, is impacting every choice that you make thereafter. And I see it as this cycle that continues to appear in people's lives.
And everybody suffers from it. At some point, the key is, how do we label it? Are we
Yeah,
labeling it like a syndrome or a problem, or can we label it as a signal and use it to strengthen ourselves?
absolutely.
There are I have what's called 4 factors of instability. Because if we're
Uh-huh.
saying the situation could be unstable, there's 4 factors of instability. One is pending decisions. Something
Mm.
needs a decision, but we don't make the
Yes.
call, right?
Yes.
And what that does is it sets up mental looping. You think about
Yes.
it in the car, you think about when you wake up, it just never stops. It's this decision I have to make, but that doubt is signaling that you have to make a decision.
Mhm.
And so what we need to do, like in the business, we said, well, am I going to hire this person?
Yeah.
Maybe there's a career change. So that doubt is sending a signal that says, Natalie, this decision needs to be made in this situation. And here's the power of doubt. I'm not going away until
Yes.
you do, right?
Until you do.
It's a signal.
Exactly.
It's got a flag going, doesn't it? Like
Yes.
it's got this flag going, and we're like, I'm just doubtful.
Yeah.
I feel doubt. Well, of course you feel doubt, because it's you need to make a decision on something, right?
Mhm.
Number 2 is unresolved tension. Unresolved tension is
Mm.
when you feel that edginess when you come to a room because there's a person in there. Let's say
Yes.
it's a working professional that, boy, it's on your team, and boy, they just rub you wrong, and they said something really bad about you in the last meeting. So we don't do anything about it, and we just walk in there and we got all this tension going on, right?
Yeah.
And so that's unresolved tension. And that shows up in the family, that shows up at work, shows at home. Sometimes it
Mm.
just shows up right up here inside our heads, right?
Yeah.
And so usually when that vibe changes, or what happens sometimes is there's a subject that comes up that gets everybody quiet, right?
Yes.
Unresolved tension. We can feel it. So there, doubt is doing some really heavy lifting,
Yes.
right? What it's telling you is something here needs to be faced, right?
Yes.
We have to face this. Okay, make it up somehow, right? That person that let's say they did you wrong. There's nothing wrong with walking up and say, hey, I felt, like, again, I'm not going to tell you how to resolve it, but it needs to be addressed in some fashion, right?
Yes. Yes.
I got 2 more. One is perceived instability,
Mm.
and its cousin, comparison.
Mm.
Boy, do we get killed on comparisons, don't
Mm.
we?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
As somebody
Well,
used
and
to say,
the perceived instability or the lack thereof in terms of stability, that goes back to a topic that comes up quite a bit on many of the episodes, is like that safety, right? If
mm,
we don't have that sense of safety within the space. If we go back to the scenario that you just mentioned, Martin, like you're in this meeting and you had an interaction with someone that left you feeling a certain way the last time you all were together, and now introduce a subject and there's something that's just circulating in the room. Like you said, it's not just it's not just Natalie that's feeling this now. It
No.
is everyone in the space, or a great majority of individuals that are feeling that doubt, um, that starts to pop up.
Isn't that the truth?
Oh my
It's
gosh.
yeah, and so there's that like the perceived instability is like we are
Yes.
reacting or we're assuming something before we have the facts, right?
Yes.
Think about that. So something like, because it could be real, it could be
Yes.
not real,
Mhm,
it could be partly real,
mhm.
or it could be your mind just being super, super creative, right?
100%. Your
And
brain just fills in the gaps and says, "I think this is what happened."
yeah, and
Yes.
then we so doubt shows up as second guessing,
Yeah.
right?
Oh.
Compare ourselves, right? We start comparing
Mm.
ourselves, or the idea that an entrepreneur or a business leader has a slow sales month,
Yeah.
and it makes us question the whole business.
Yeah.
One sales month change, right? Somebody,
Yes.
"Ooh, I'm gonna text Natalie," right? I text her and I'm really rushed. I just text her quick. "Yeah, I'll hop on in a minute," and you read out,
Yes.
he said he hopped on a minute, like we perceive that, right? So somebody sends
Yes.
us a short text and we wonder what we did wrong,
Mm.
right? Or we see somebody succeeding and we start questioning our own progress.
Mhm.
And right there, Natalie, doubt is signaling us to what? Number one, slow down,
Yes.
right? Because we make assumptions. Check the facts.
Mhm.
Okay, I did five. I got a good one. I I've founded at least five businesses, exited two.
Mhm.
Why the hell would I still have doubt in business?
Because of the I'm going to say the journey to maturity, what we formerly
Ah,
called perfectionism. Yes. That's what
beautiful.
I would say, right? Like
Yeah,
there's another lesson to be learned, and we haven't quote unquote arrived yet. So there's still doubt that would pop up.
right. So we got to stop letting
Yes.
fear or self perception write the narrative.
Yes.
So that comparison is it's bad stuff, man. It's like
Yeah.
if you get that, like get up in that, get up in there. So the idea there is to plan forward, right? Always plan forward. So if you're feeling a certain way, but it's really amazing. Even people that get text, our world falls apart, or we start
Mhm.
doubting the relationship because we haven't heard from them in 2 hours. I
Yes.
mean, it's amazing what we really look at, what we think about and what you think about. The perceived instability is really funny. Here, I write the book. I put the
Yes.
last few words in it. By the way, I finished the book the first time because if you ever wrote a book, you were going to finish it a couple times, right? But the first
Yes.
time I got to that end and I put the last little words in there, I was so happy. My partner looks at me and she says, "Hey, let's go celebrate." And I'm like, I don't, I should have. I believe in celebrating wins, but I said, I don't feel like celebrating. And,
Mm.
um, like it was interesting. I felt neutral. I felt normal and neutral. But when I woke up the next morning, I did not feel normal, nor I did feel neutral.
Yeah.
I was full of doubt.
Yes.
And I laughed at myself. I said, "Oh my God, I just wrote a book of doubt and I am swimming. I'm swimming
Absolutely.
in doubt because there was an
Yes.
instability. The gap was I finished the project and I'm like, oh my God, what do I work on next? That gap filled in and
Mm.
doubt gets really loud in the gap, right?
Yes.
So it got loud in the gap and I said, okay, Marty, hey, you wrote the damn book. Let's get it going.
Focus.
Right? Focus.
Yes.
So what I did is I
Yes.
walked onto my desk. I didn't pull up the manuscript. I looked at my desk and I had piles of paperwork. I'd been working on it for months and I had notes everywhere. I cleaned it all off.
Mm.
I even washed it down with little Windex, swept the floor around it, got rid of all the notes and all the junk. And I took 2 steps back and I looked at it. I said, okay, I'm ready for phase 2. Because what I had to do is I had to build security and stability in the gap of uncertainty.
Mm.
And however you do that and how you got to find a way. Like
Right.
I didn't even know what the heck I was going to work on next, Natalie,
Right.
but I know I'm
Exactly.
going to work on something and that's going to help me get past that. right?
Yes,
Sometimes it's that
exactly.
simple. Does that make
I
sense?
love that. Martin, and what I love is that that doubt can come up in so many ways because the direction that I thought that you were going to go, like after the completion of the book, is the realization that the world now is going to see this. And at least that's how it is perceived in my mind, is that the entire world now has a little bit of insight to my thoughts, to how I write, to my beliefs, and whatever that may be. And so that's where I thought the doubt would pop up. For you, the doubt was, okay, now what? Now what's going to continue to fill my bucket? How am I going to continue to fulfill my purpose? Where now what? Right? And so it can pop up in so many different ways.
Yes, like look at the career change. We
Yeah.
doubt that. It's really interesting. I had a discussion with some, I deal with a lot of entrepreneurs. And, when we talk about imposter syndrome, we
Yes.
always talk about not feeling like we're the right person to take the company forward or whatever it is, right?
Yes.
We won't go deep in that, but that's a good subject, very good
Yes.
subject, healthy subject. But I was sitting around with some professionals that experience imposter syndrome differently. One just got a promotion and they were feeling like they weren't capable of doing it.
Yep.
So what I told them, and by the way, I don't walk around trying to correct everybody, but in this case, they're good friends. We're smoking cigars, enjoying a nice chat. And she said, I said, well, I said, Louisa, I said, go to your resume.
Yeah.
Go back to go check those facts. You've
Yes.
been doing this for over 45 years.
Wow.
I said, they had enough about you to make a good decision to hire you for that position, or it was a promotion.
A promotion. Yeah.
So we have to we have to go back and check those facts and stop making the assumptions. So imposter syndrome or that doubt shows up in different ways, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
The other one, the last one I have is uncertain outcomes. When a situation demands action, but you don't know how it ends. And when you have no
Hmm.
control how it ends, that's a bad booger there.
That's the big one.
That
That
is
is
a
a big one. Yes.
yeah, you're waiting on a phone call, you're waiting on results, you put in a resume,
Yes.
you're waiting for somebody's feedback. We're looking for somebody's approval or response. Maybe
Yes.
it's heavy in some medical news and that huge gap is in there. And what that feels like, oh boy, that feels like a lot of pressure sitting on us while we're just waiting around. And it
Yes.
just gets loud and it just gnaws on you, right?
Yeah.
A situation like you put a proposal in or you put your resume in, but the party hasn't responded.
Yes.
You launch that product, but you don't know if anybody's going to buy it. You had that hard
Hmm.
conversation. You have no idea how they took it and what the heck's going to happen next because you can't
Yes.
control the outcome. So what doubt's doing that, it's making you feel uneasy. And what it's asking us to do is take some action.
Mhm.
Or an action could be, Natalie, that we just believe in ourselves a little bit more and we trust our work ethic and our,
Mhm.
the way we work or the effort that we put in. Because what's the worst thing that can happen out of there other than
Right.
bad news, medical news? I mean, nobody wants that, but
Right.
really that we can learn or build from that outcome, no matter what it
Yes.
is, right? And I would say this, the reason we have to build, because we have to build.
Because we have to
There
build.
is
That's
no
right.
choice to some things, right?
Yes.
There's just no way to,
Yes.
yeah. So you got to trust yourself. We got to start learning to trust ourselves. So,
I love that. Martin, thank you so much for sharing like how all of the different ways that doubt can show up in our lives dressed differently, right? Like that's what I hear is that it shows up and it's dressed differently. We feel it in different settings and it can pop up at any given time. But it sounds like your book speaks to not only the ways that doubt will show up, but it also gives us some ways to address it when we are seeing that doubt start to bubble up within our lives and what crossroads we're at, right? Like what decision or reflection do we need to have and take in that moment to address what is creating that indicator
mm.
of doubt in our lives?
If I could just, I would just like to throw this little correction in there is that it's really
Please,
not, it's
please
not,
do.
yeah,
Yes,
it's not
yes.
just the book isn't a self-help book. I actually intentionally wrote it like that because when I'm walking the reader through a situation,
Yes.
I want them to feel the situation.
Yes.
And I don't want them to feel it for me. I want them to feel it for them.
Mm.
And at the end of every chapter or every story, I don't tell them, well, this is the things that I learned from this, right?
Yeah.
Because I believe this, Natalie, everybody's sovereign.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Mm.
not my point to tell people how to feel.
Yeah.
You ever have somebody they say, God, I really feel bad for you. And you say, you don't have to feel bad for me or whatever that looks like. The reality is
Yes,
that you
exactly.
can't even say that because you're telling them not to feel. So I wrote the book for you to feel it and to feel yourself within the pages. And then my talk is about what we've been talking about today,
Yeah.
which is really how do we address it and handle it. But in that case, I'm just a builder. I mean, that's just me.
Yes.
I'm just a builder. So I just wanted to make sure that was clear. Well,
I know. I love that. Thank you for that.
thanks for
I
having the
think that's
patience for me. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, no, no. This is perfect. This is
I
exactly
was just
what
gonna
we were
say, hey,
hoping.
thanks for
Yeah.
the patience for me as I walked that down because it's when we were talking before the podcast, I said I like to think.
Yes.
And so it gives me time to lock things in and what I believe in. I got 3 buckets in the world. I got one bucket that says I 100% believe it.
Okay.
My second bucket is I 100% don't believe it.
Oh.
And my third bucket is I 100% don't know. And they might shift depending on the information I get throughout
I
life,
was going
right?
to ask which bucket is more full.
I explore a lot of weird things, man. I'm like, you watch some paranormal stuff and you're like, yeah, I'm not so sure. I don't even know what to believe there. That was pretty
Exactly.
weird, right?
Actually, in this season of life, there's a lot of I'm not sure.
Right, right. So I appreciate your patience as I walk through that. So,
Thank you. Thank you, Martin. I would love just for us to take a few moments to kind of shift gears because you yourself, you've spent the majority of your life as an entrepreneur, and that doesn't necessarily mean that we are working as solopreneurs. So I'd love to hear from you as it pertains to like building healthy teams and what that looks
mm,
like, because we touched on that a little bit. And I'd love to have your insight in terms of when we're looking at leadership. What's expected well, I shouldn't say that. I'm gonna take that back. Not what's expected. What are we striving for when we're looking to truly build a team?
mm. When we're trying to build a team, I think I could probably explain it better this way through example. And, and I try to steer away from advice, right? I'd
Mhm.
rather give you an experience share because I really don't know what your team's like. I think coaches
Beautiful.
make a big mistake trying to impede everything. But one thing I have learned is that I cannot replace another person's value system.
Mm.
I just can't because if I hire you and I have a certain culture and you don't match that culture, the same value system, you'll try to act right in that
Yes.
business culture, right? But in
Yes.
reality, there's our authenticity.
Out the
So what
window.
happen? So what
Gone.
we do is that we say as a
Yes.
leader, well, you'll just acclimate to our value system eventually, and it doesn't work that way. And
Mm.
that's really important to understand because I tell every leader, who are you? Because if you're the leader, you're going to be the main influence of that company. So we always talk about core values, right? Core values,
Yes.
core values, core values, core values. And we see them written on the wall. We got them on our shirts. We got them over here. We got them on our sneakers.
Yep.
I
Yep.
don't
True.
know why that cracked me up. I don't know why that cracked me up, but that was a fun one. Sometimes I
I mean,
crack my
you say that, I'm looking at mine, it's on the wall. Yes, absolutely.
yeah, I have integrity, right?
Yeah,
I, we write it. So the truth of the
yes.
matter is I can't replace another person's value system. So I have to know what my
Mm.
value system is. And it always starts with the leader. And I want to if I could just briefly say this, we have to stop thinking leaders are like this, like, I don't know, this new pastor You know what I'm saying? The pastor can't do any wrong. The leader can't do any wrong. Like if the
Yes.
pastor makes a mistake, I thought he was a godly man, right? He's
Yes,
out. He's out.
exactly.
Maybe
Yes.
sometimes they need to be out, right? But the reality
Yes.
is that if you have such a toxic culture, maybe you need to really evaluate where you're at. But we have to stop putting labels on them as well, right? Even the
Mm,
word toxic is overused. So, but
yes.
here's the truth. In my little world is that a core value is who you are.
Mhm.
It's not who you were. It's not who you want to become.
Right.
Natalie, it is who you are today. So
Yes.
if we don't have any integrity, and I said, we have integrity because we're going to have integrity one day, that's
Yes.
not who you are authentically are. Because
Right.
once you understand, like one of my core values is own it. I don't
Mhm.
want to hire anybody that doesn't own it.
Right.
Right? Because we're gonna blast off sometime, and the key is that I'm gonna find out that, yeah, you may not match all of my core values, but we should, if we have 5, I mean, 5 is a really good number to lock in. But
Yeah.
once we understand who we are as a person, more than likely the company's very close to that. If you're a lax person, you'll have a lax environment in your office,
Mhm.
right? If you're
Yes.
you're disciplined, you'll have a discipline. Now we get our heads down and get off our work done, right? That's me, by the way. Like you do not
Yes.
want to work for me if you're like, oh, let's get in here, man. We're gonna be good. No, hell
Yes.
no. Let's get going, right? But I'm gonna
Yes.
treat you right. So culture is really important first from the idea of having a core system, value
Yeah.
system. Because once you understand who you are, now you know who to hire.
Yeah.
And better hear that. Once you know who you are, you'll know who to hire.
Yes.
Because we want to match even our friends to our own frequency, our own value system,
Yeah.
right? I didn't say political party. I didn't say religious affiliation.
Yep.
I said, what's your value system?
Values.
We got to
Mhm.
start busting this up, a little bit too. But the reality is then when we have our core values, then we hire by them, we coach with them, we reward with them,
Mhm.
right?
Yes.
Like if I was to have a shout out during a huddle, and
Yeah.
I love this lady. Her name was Tegan. She was my customer service person. She was great. Oh, she was happy all the time and everything else. But she would like solve some problems because we gave her the ability to make decisions. Oh, by the way, that was a core value. We want
Mhm.
you to make decisions. We don't want to tell
Yes.
you. We just want to give you the fences and you operate. We're going to trust you, right? So my value system in my business was we want you to make decisions and we're going to give you the guidelines in which to do that
Yes.
because we find that's meaningful and stronger. So like if we did a shout out and I'd said, oh, Tika, last week when you handled that customer, when that shipping went wrong and you stepped in and you went down to the assembly plant and you took care of all these things and you made sure Mrs. Smith was taken care of, I said, you owned it.
Love that. I love that. I think that's and because it's a value, not only is again, not painted on the wall only, it is incorporated into the hiring process. It's incorporated into really being crystal clear on the expectations for the
Yep.
other people on your team or within the company. And then it's also the growth for that individual, right? Like here's how we're going to grow together. And it's all built around the values that you have. And I think, Martin, you didn't say it, but you said it. It plays such a huge role in terms of the culture of the organization as well, right? Like if there's misalignment and you say, we're a company that's built around giving you the opportunity to make decisions and integrity and the behavior of leadership or the allowed behavior for other individuals on the team doesn't align with that, then you can go ahead and throw the culture that you're trying to create out the door because it's compromised. And it goes back to that perception of safety. Like, right? Do people feel safe? Are we truly going to create the space and environment that we say that we're going to and honor that? Or is it just what's plastered on the back of my t-shirt this
It's,
month?
it's interesting that we use the word safety. I think that if you have a
Yeah.
good culture, the people will
Yes.
fit it. And it doesn't matter whether it's safe to me or not. It really
Yeah.
becomes that we can operate really well within it. And so
Yes.
I asked you this. I said, here, I'll ask you, and I'm going to turn the table on you.
Oh, here we go.
Here we go.
Okay.
Here we
I'm in the
go.
love seat. I'm listening.
So how do you measure culture? It how do you know when you walk into a place that they have a good culture?
Right. Martin, I think that's a great question. My initial response is that you can feel it as soon as you walk into a space, right? And I have the opportunity to work with many organizations across the country, and I can feel it the moment I meet with their leadership. If it is a culture that is healthy and looking to grow, or if it's a culture that just is and they're not looking to grow, or if it's one that is
Yeah.
going back to that label that's often misused, if it's toxic, if it's not healthy, if it's not supportive of all of the people that are showing up, you can feel it very quickly. And I don't have to be a part of the organization of the company to realize it.
People do feel it, don't they? And I would say 9 out
Yes.
of 10 entrepreneurs, this is my unofficial survey, 9 9 9 out of 10 dentists say that Trident's good, right?
Yes,
No,
exactly.
I think that's what it was. But the truth of the matter is that 9 out of 10 entrepreneurs would say is that when you walk in, you'll feel it.
Yes.
And people, and the only reason I say entrepreneurs because they are aware that you have to build it. It has to be intentional,
Mhm.
right?
Yes.
And by the way, every place has a culture.
Yes.
Whether it's intentional or unintentional, you're going to have a culture.
Right.
But I would say if you don't measure it, how can you manage it? So
Mm.
how do we
Mhm.
measure culture? I would say here's one way. Here's one way that I measured Christmas parties.
Mm.
S- A spouse would come up to me and say, "Mr. Watts, could I talk to you?" And I would say, "Well, the name's Marty." I didn't.
Yes.
I'm like, "No, Mr. Watts,
Yes.
nothing."
Please don't call me that. Yes.
No, that's something the IRS would say on the phone, "Mr. Watts." I'm like,
Yes, exactly.
"Yeah, PTSD there." Uh,
There it
yeah.
is. There it is. That's it.
But but how we measure it, it's gotta be something, that you can touch or
Tangible.
hear. It's gotta be something
Yes.
tangible. So, it would happen a lot, and it happened more than I expected, is that people say, "Hey, my husband Brian's been working with Ozark for, 6 months. He comes home happy every day."
Mm.
That's measurable,
Yes.
right? I literally
Absolutely.
got I'm not playing, I don't like to, play around or lie about things, but I got literally, 4 days ago, somebody that I fired from the company reached out to me on Facebook Messenger,
Mm.
and I knew who it was, and, when I fired somebody, I never said, "You're a bad person." I said, "You just don't fit right now."
Yes.
They fit 3 years ago, but right now we've changed, they haven't. And I think it's okay to recognize it and be compassionate about it or whatever you gotta do, but we let him go in a very respectful way, but it was based on his behavior. He wrote me and he said, "I wanna let you know it's been 5, 6 years since I worked for you." He said, "I still remembered the things you taught me. I
Mm.
still respected the things," and he said, "I really enjoyed myself when I was there." That, Natalie, is measurable. Now
Yes.
you can I throw one more boomerang on you?
Please. Yes.
How long does it take? If you say I want an intentional culture, let's say a shop, I don't care, a business of let's say 20 people, something
Okay.
manageable and reasonable. How long does it take to shift that culture? There's no
How
right or wrong
long does it
answer. There's
take
just
to shift the culture for yourself and about 20 people? Gosh,
yes.
Martin, that's a great question because one part of me says that it is with the moment of one decision or action that's taken. And then the linear practical side of me says a minimum of 6 months. That's the side,
Mm,
right? So it's somewhere in between. It's one decision away or
mm.
a 6 month window of intentionality.
It reminds me of the commercial. How many licks does it take to get
Yes,
to
it
the
is. I
middle
am
of
the
the Tootsie
owl in
Pop?
this moment. Three.
Crunch
The answer's three,
three.
and the world will never
Right?
know.
And the world will never know. Uh, I so I heard this from somebody, and this was before I really started understanding intentional culture. And they
Yes.
said, "Marty, you'll know that it'll take." They said, first of all, they said it'll take about a year.
Mm.
to shift the culture. Because remember, you only got to get 20% of the people believing the new Kool-Aid.
Right. Yes.
And so here's the measurable part. Like, how do we measure that? And she didn't tell me, here's something measurable you can use. She said, you'll know that your culture has changed on the day that you have to fire somebody and they don't want to go.
Oh,
This gentleman
yes.
was one of those people. And he
Yes.
still reaches out and he says, thank you.
Yeah.
That's culture.
That is culture. Martin, that story speaks to the caliber of leaders that have come on the show, because you're not the first guest that has shared a similar story where the guest has been in a position where they've had to let someone go or let an entire department go in some instances, and they still get handwritten cards from these individuals that they had to let go years and years ago, decades that have passed, and they're still grateful for the leader that was there for them when they were in that space and the impact that it's had on their lives. And I think that's the qualities in a leader that we should all aspire to have, right? When we are truly honoring our own value belief system, right? Being true to that and ensuring that that ripples out into the space. If it's your department, if it's your
Mm.
organization, if it's your company, that should continue to ripple out and impact the lives. But I love that as a true, tangible test, is that you have to let someone go and they do not want to at
I
all
had
because
grown
they
men
want to
cry.
be a part of it.
I had grown men cry. And,
Yeah.
and I have to say is that we as a leader, we take a lot of heat, right? And we always say, what's the leader
Yes.
thing? But I got to tell you, it's always a team. And
Yes.
we always say the failure of the team is the leader. And, I don't believe everything I read.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's my fault, that somebody hurt themselves or somebody
Hmm.
did, right? If we put the
Right.
processes in, that's not leadership, right?
Right.
And so I think we have to be very careful, like putting too much on a leader. I was at this seminar and they were talking about suicide. And the guy,
Mm.
it was a really weird little seminar. It was for entrepreneurs. And he was talking about how leaders are responsible if somebody commits suicide while they're on your staff.
Oh,
I have
wow.
to tell you this. I got my little phone out and I started looking up stats.
Yes.
I said, this is a 0.0004% issue. It's not even an issue for us to care about other than that person, right? We care about that person.
Exactly.
But
Yes.
it's not the leader's responsibility that when everybody has a little shift, oh, we got to ask Brian how he's feeling today. That's just not the truth. And I
Right.
think we're putting too much on leaders, but so leaders should take that as, oh my God, that is a measurable,
Yes.
right, milestone that we can see our culture is shifting. And it's okay to say we've done a good job. Count
Right.
the wins when they come up, for goodness sakes, right?
Yes.
Count the wins. We don't count the wins enough.
Yeah.
We work all week long. We're solving problems, and we always look at them like, well, this is really heavy stuff, but we're solving problems. And the thing is, it's all positive results, and
Exactly.
yet that perception is that we're under siege.
Yeah.
So another culture issue, and this will be my last one, unless anything else you want to dive into on that, is that I would stop work at 2:00 in the afternoon on Friday, and I'd pull out a bottle of sparkling wine and one of sparkling grape juice, depending whatever
Okay.
side of the truck you came from. You can drink
Y-
whatever you want.
Whichever you'd like.
And I had
Yes.
these little cheap plastic champagne glasses. You know how they put them together and they're kind of janky. But
Yes.
we put those together and we'd put them out and we'd pour a little in, and I called it it's time for a humble brag.
Mm,
I said, I want everybody to go around the room and tell the team one thing that you won this week.
yeah.
And we go around and we clink these little stupid plastic glasses. It was so fun.
I
But
love that.
but they loved that, like the idea
Mhm.
that we can't brag on ourselves. Like, no, you can have a humble brag, right? And
Yes.
and it's not bragging, by the way, if it's true.
Yeah,
But when you hear
exactly.
people end that Friday with your wins, they get to
Yeah.
go to the weekend. I don't want my team burdened down with the business. I want them to excel and create and go home and be happy, be with their family.
And
And that
come back on Monday happy and excited to be back at work. Yes.
we want them to
Yes.
we want them to kick, right? We want them to get going. But it
Yeah.
really is got to be intentional. And,
I love
and you
that.
know, and their humble brag would be based on a core value
Mhm.
because we
That
want to
I think that is so phenomenal in terms of creating that space, the culture that we talk about, like truly putting it into action, giving people the opportunity to have that humble brag. Because I just went through like a Rolodex of humble brags that could pop up, and I go back to your moment of completing the book and cleaning your desk and vacuuming under the desk, and like that being a humble brag for someone. Because there, when I was in a different season of life and I worked in a corporate space, there was a lot of pressure that came with the cluttered desk, right? With the piles of paper all around you. If you get to Friday and your humble brag is that you cleaned your desk up and you have a space that is allowing you to be more creative and more effective and more efficient on Monday, cheers. With my sparkling wine. I'm grateful for that. Or the new client acquisition or what have you, but it's ending the week in such a positive, inspirational way that just keeps everyone on the high, the up before heading out into the weekend
if I
and
tell
spending time doing the things that they want to,
if
right?
I
I mean,
t-
not that they don't want to be there.
if I tell you
Yes.
10 things about you and these are all good and that one's bad, you will remember
I
that
only
one.
I only remember the one, and I can't remember the other 9. I
No.
may be able to remember 3 of the other 9, maybe,
It's a
but I'm
bad
gonna
filter. It's a bad filter that we've been so we got to break that mold, right? That's my
Yes.
why in life, by the way, is I like to help people think differently
Yes.
so they can have a better outcome,
I
right?
love that.
It's not just a better because I've been a little wacky how I think. People say, "Well, it's a little wacky." I said, "Well, it works."
You'll get here eventually, don't you worry. I'll be waiting for you.
I'm sorry, I'm not as smart as you, and I can't figure all this out. But I'm gonna keep chugging along. The last thing
Exactly.
I said the last thing on culture, but truly, the culture is not the big things you do. I
No.
got. Can I share 2 more simple things?
Yes,
It's not. It's the
please.
little things that you do every day. It's not the
Mhm.
big things. Like I do a retreat 4 times a year. Every quarter, I'd shut the whole company down, and that included the person answering the phone. We'd have 2
Mm.
in, 2 out. I'd bring a speaker in, whatever that looked like, right?
Yeah.
So those are the big things, but it was all the little things that we did that encouraged that culture, right?
Yeah.
And then I forgot what the last thing I had something really cool about it,
There was
but
a second. It was about culture.
it
Yes, there was
was,
one,
it was,
the small consistent things you do over time. It'll come back to us.
yeah, it'll come back to me. I'll go, Natalie, before we leave,
Before
let's
we leave.
not, let's do it, but really
When
it's,
it pops back up, Martin, you let me know. But I want to first, like as that's processing, as it comes back up to top of mind for you, is first just thanking you for all of the seeds that you've planted. I'm not going to say practices or modalities, but really just opportunities for us to do the introspective work, right? I think a lot of this comes down to us understanding how we show up as leaders. I mean, even just as we were having this conversation and you were talking about the type of leader that you are and what people can expect in terms of how you show up as a leader. And I am the opposite side of that, right? One of my values that's really important to me is freedom. And so the what I'm building is in a way to create more freedom for myself and in my life, but I also reflect that in my leadership style. And it came full circle to the paint by numbers picture that you mentioned at the very beginning of our
mm,
time together. I am that leader that is going to give you the picture and the palette of paint and your brushes, and you choose. Don't ask me how much paint to put on the brush. Don't ask me how quickly you need to get it done. Here's the picture that we're painting, and let's get to completing that picture. Now, if you need someone that's going to hold your hand every day, that's going to tell you that hue of blue looks perfect in spot number 2, I'm probably not the best leader for you in that space if that's the culture you're looking for. here's what we're working on. Let's all work towards it. But that's how freedom comes in. I want to give you that freedom to get creative. If there's a little bit of blur in the lines, beautiful, do it. And so I think what you've shared with us is that opportunity for us to reflect on how we show up as leaders and how we're having an impact on the lives of the people that we're leading.
Yes.
Yeah, I love it. Martin, I ask every guest at the end of the episode one question. It's the same question that that you all get to answer. And it always, it's very insightful to me. But 5, 10, 100 years from now, Martin, how would you like to be remembered as a leader?
Hmm. One experience share. I hired a coach that said, Marty, I want you to read more. I was reading. So now I want you to read a whole book, page by page. I don't care how long it takes you. I had no idea what I want to read. I have a whole bunch of books. I had no idea what I wanted to read. So I called Chip a week later. I said, Chip, I am ready to read that book. I said, what book do you want me to read? He says, what do you want to become? I said, hell, I don't know. I'll talk to you in a few days. I did. I called him in 2 days later. And I said, Chip, I want to become a better listener. And he gave me John Maxwell's book, Good Leaders Ask Great Questions. It changed my trajectory as a leader. So I answer it with this. I want to be known as a leader that listened and didn't affirm people, but confirmed what was already in them. I think that's the kind of legacy I want.
Wow. That is powerful, Martin. Thank you. Oh my gosh. I couldn't think of a more beautiful way to close out this episode. That was absolutely phenomenal. Thank you for taking the time to share your knowledge, wisdom, and insight with the listeners here at the Leadership That Shines podcast. I truly am grateful. Thank you.
You have lived up to everything I believe that you are.
Thank you, Martin.
You are a great listener, and you did a great job keeping me reined in enough that we could pull something out. But I want to let you know that it's my honor to be here today, and I appreciate the opportunity to be able to share some things that I feel like I've learned over the years that might help somebody else. Thank you.
Definitely. You have already done so. You've planted seeds within me and some work that I'm going to continue to continue on in my journey. And so I know that you're doing the same for our listeners. This has been absolutely phenomenal. We will make sure that we drop the information about the book in the show notes, as well as your contact information, so people can follow you on all the socials. But thank you for taking the time out to join us. And for our listeners, if you all are not aware, we go a little step deeper with each of these episodes with our weekly Think Letter that is available on LinkedIn. It's entitled The Flamingo Files. So if you're not subscribed to that, head on over to LinkedIn, check out the Flamingo Files on a weekly basis, drops every Monday, and listen in on every Wednesday so that you can watch your favorite episode here at the Leadership That Shines podcast. Until next time, we'll see you all soon.
Thank you for spending time growing with me on the Leadership That Shines podcast. Every episode is built around the values of impact, influence, and growth, and I want all 3 of those to show up in how you lead starting this week. If this episode added value to your week, share it with a leader in your world who is ready to grow. Subscribe and follow so that you never miss a week, and I'll see you in the next episode.